Picture this. You have no shortage of women finding you attractive. You have money, so dates, travel, hobbies, and other expenses aren't an issue. You can theoretically have women throwing themselves at you. Would you be living the bachelor life? Or do you still want to get married and have a family? Story 1. Absolutely. There are reasons all these technology billionaires get married. Ever noticed how many professional athletes get married? I know every town worth passing through, but what good does knowing do with no one to show it to? The depth of connection you can form with one person is far and away more impactful than any series of people you can string together. It is a tremendous gift to have someone in your life with whom you can share experiences, who knows you better than anyone, and still loves you. It is also great to have someone to grow old with. None of us are immortal, and people trying to pretend like they will be young forever are missing out. Story 2. The only reason I even want to be rich, attractive, and charismatic is so I can make my future wife and family happy and proud to be with me. I couldn't care less about the bachelor life. Story 3. Live that life. It's not quite what it's made out to be. Sure, it's fun, but you change with age and so do your wants and needs. Looking forward to family life now, a house full of kids, a dog, the whole deal. Story 4. I am 44, wasn't married until 30, and became a father at 32. I wasn't mega wealthy, but I ran wild for 10 years like you said. Then I found peace in my wife. She wasn't only beautiful, but the nicest, kindest person I ever met. While I did have some fun, I often reflect back and wish I had started a family earlier in life. Have your fun. One day you will find your peace, and you will know when it's yours. Story 5. Absolutely aiming for the married life, brother. All that glamour fades, but finding a ride or die to share your Fortnite wins and stock market tips? Priceless. Plus, who else is going to make sure I'm not eating cereal for every meal? Story 6. Actually happened to me. Handsome, slightly awkward military member. Had girls throwing themselves at me. I got tired of the disingenuous connection. Tried online dating, no hookup culture back then. Met this woman who was not like the others I've been with. Actual chemistry, actual connection, and great conversation not revolving around superficial nonsense. We have been married 10 years and have 2 kids together. Story 7. My wife always says that I will be fine if anything happens to her because I would have no problem getting women. It sounds like an absolute nightmare to me. I just want to spend my evenings watching TV with my wife and kids, not out trying to find some other woman. The best case scenario with a date is that you end up liking each other enough to relax and be lazy together at home. I have that now with my wife. Story 8. Hard to imagine not wanting a lifelong partner. You don't end up with someone because you don't see anyone else better. You make a choice that this is your person. And you make that choice every day that follows. Story 9. At 45 and divorced with awesome teenage kids, this is my life now, though I'm only moderately attractive, 5'10", not overweight, with an accent from a well-regarded country while in another country. I certainly don't want to get married again. I'm happy to have a relationship that doesn't involve living together or parenting each other's kids. Edit. Got a sugar baby message 2 minutes after posting this. Sigh. Story 10. I don't want to grow old without my own family, without a wife who knows me well, and without good kids who grew up in a married family. All the other stuff is fun, but in the long run, not good like drugs. Story 11. Bachelor life, but I'll have a butler who would be like family to me. I would go around the world and train in various martial arts, while he attends to the home. Story 12. If I found the right person, yes. I don't want to grow old alone. That being said, if I were rich, I am already the other 2 things. I wouldn't be afraid to be alone. Story 13. I would live it up until I find my person. What does live it up mean? Well, having as much fun as possible while also being smart and safe. Free and easy intimacy is not always free, easy, or safe. The last thing I would want is all that charm and money to be wasted on some incurable sexually transmitted disease or child support. Story 14. I'm not going to say I'm all that, but I've never struggled with women. I have had women actively approach and pursue me with some regularity for most of my life, and I leaned into that for a while. I've been with my current partner monogamously for 10 years, plan to stay that way forever, and wouldn't have it any other way. In my opinion, variety is only really that interesting when it's unobtainable. It's kind of like how when you're playing a game and imagine how fun it's going to be when you get to the end and become so powerful. But then you get there and realize it's just boring. The pursuit of that goal was what was fun, and once you're there, it's really not that interesting. Once you're with a bunch of women, you realize it's mostly all kind of the same. You just go through the motions and have basically the same, frankly pretty shallow, experience over and over again. Women are all unique and different and are more or less fun, excited, experimental, but it's not like there are that many different ways for the act itself to go. The things that make someone uniquely interesting are all deeper stuff that's kind of irrelevant to casual, fleeting relationships. It is really good for your self-confidence, though, no doubt, and it keeps you from getting too hung up on someone too fast. But once you already know that it's an option, you already have both of those benefits regardless of whether you're actually doing it. It's fun, but it's not fulfilling at all. It doesn't feel like it goes anywhere because it doesn't. It's just a different way of standing in place basically alone. What matters over the course of a life is having deep, fulfilling relationships with people who are really in the trenches with you, family, friends, partner. That's what makes life actually fulfilling. Being there for good people you care about and knowing they're there for you. Plus, eventually we will all be ugly and I don't know about you, but I don't want to be alone then. You can try to have real connections with people while not being exclusive, which I did try to do while openly communicating what was happening. Women would say they were fine with it at first and then pretty much always end up upset that I wasn't changing my mind and committing to just her. They would sometimes still just stay there until I cut it even though they were clearly unhappy. It was way more drama than it was worth. I had a bunch of weird conversations advising women that I enjoyed what we had, but for their sake they should find someone else. Those conversations weren't fun, and they actually made me feel bad even though I was transparent and thought I was being ethical about it by being clear up front. I think that's avoidable by explicitly seeking out women who will not just accept an ethically non-monogamous relationship but have it as their preferred relationship style. Honestly, I was just not very aware that was a thing at the time, or I would have tried that more explicitly. I only realized that was a thing a couple of years ago when someone I was talking to at a party asked me very clearly what my preferred relationship style was and then told me she was into ethically non-monogamous relationships, was clearly vetting me in a way that was way more thoughtful than how I had tried to do it before. But honestly, that's just a lot of work because you have to either filter through a lot of people because most women don't want that, or you have to go to specific places where there are just a lot fewer options. And obviously those women will also have things they want out of it. If you find a really chill bisexual woman, you can probably have your cake and eat it too while she's happy. Otherwise, it seems to be basically you forcing a woman to accept a relationship structure she doesn't really want just because she wants you. That felt bad to me. In my experience with friend stories, even if you get ethically non-monogamous relationships set up working for you, those relationships just end up being really complicated, because deep relationships are just complicated and hard to balance perfectly with even two people. And if you filter that hard on such specific and rare requirements, then you get to filter less on other things that matter more in long-term companionship, like whether you genuinely enjoy hanging out with her every day in normal life, or she's trustworthy and has integrity or is mentally stable. Those aren't in conflict with the other things. They're just uncorrelated, so it reduces the odds of any one person checking every box. I don't know, that's a rant, but basically my perspective. Too long. Didn't read. Long-term, deep relationships are what really matters, and that is all about quality over quantity. Having options is a huge privilege, but actually using them constantly is chaotic, generally harmful to quality, and not even that interesting. Story 15. Depends on what I want. If I want kids and a family, obviously marriage and monogamy is the better path. If I don't care about kids and am happy with casual romantic encounters, then let the good times roll. Story 16. I cheerfully commit to one woman if she's a wonderful green flag girl who adds to my life, but I see no reason for marriage. All the best benefits of marriage are covered by a long-term relationship and commitment, and no, marriage and commitment are not the same thing. If they were, the divorce rate wouldn't be so high. Story 17. Yes, because I desire marriage and long-term companionship. This desire is not dependent upon my level of success. Any guy who wants to remain single for life is doing so because he wants to be single for life. Story 18. I always wanted the married life, kids, and everything. But now that I am better looking and financially doing well, I would be lying if I said the temporary thrills of dating new girls and having friends with benefits is not addicting. So at this point, I do not know. But I feel that if I keep going on the path I am on, I will regret it once I am in my mid-30s. Story 19. Haha. No. I've been in love before, but I don't care about that. I value my independence and ability to do what I want when I want. I need my space, and having someone around me constantly isn't my thing. Story 20. I would consider marriage only with a tungsten-clad prenuptial agreement and a lot of secured accounting. Yes, I would love to have a wife and we create a family, but there is absolutely no way I would get into legal agreements without legal protections, especially with wealth. Story 21. So in this hypothetical, your two options are to either live an adolescent fantasy or probably get married to a nice person. I think I'd choose the latter. Story 22. No to marriage, yes to kids by surrogate. A marriage is just a financial liability at this point. Yes, with the right person the sky is the limit, but with the wrong person there is no floor. If a person had all of this going for them, single for life, in my humble opinion. Story 23. Nah, I would enjoy the bachelor life while I could in my 20s and 30s, maybe into my 40s even. But you don't have to get married to find your forever partner. It would make it easier to part ways if you decided not to stay together. My friend and his wife, both in their 60s, have been together for over 30 years without ever officially tying the knot. My other friend, a few years older than me at 32, has been with his wife for 14 years, married for 4. Things went south and now they're getting divorced. They have a daughter, but other than that, he wishes he would have never been with her. Feels like he wasted so much time and money. I'm sure she feels the same way. So for me, that's a no. Story 24. No, but I'm never getting married regardless. It's an awful deal for the person who earns more, almost always the man. You have to give money to a person who leaves you. Why? Story 25. The earlier you start a family, the better. You enjoy your kids growing up while still being relatively young. Imagine having a 15-year-old teenage daughter when you are over 60. Plus, if you have many women interested in you, hypothetically, you have a large pool to choose from, making it easier to find the right one. Story 26. That depends on whether I find someone before or after I get rich. I would have to be 100% sure that she's with me for the right reasons, and I'd have a prenuptial agreement. Story 27. All the top-voted comments are like something out of a romance novel. People watch too much Disney and are programmed to respond to this marriage fantasy. And that is all it is. If I were in that position, there is zero chance I would marry. I wouldn't do it now either. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Peace of mind is above all in riches or poverty. Story 28. I'm assuming anybody who says they would continue the bachelor life has clearly never met men like this. Everybody gets old, so looks fade. Having a constant revolving door of beautiful women on your arm leaves you unfulfilled because none of them actually like you for real. From the outside, it just looks pathetic, and living that kind of lifestyle will destroy your soul until you are not charismatic anymore. Story 29. Probably not. Maybe have a few long-term relationships here and there if I feel like my romantic life is empty, but I've always been pretty content being by myself. Only child syndrome, haha. Story 30. I'm poor, unattractive, and uncharismatic, and I wouldn't get married if I got the chance in my present situation. If I become rich, attractive for the older guy I'd be, or charismatic, this is not going to change. Edit. Not going for the bachelor lifestyle either, if that means changing women like socks. Story 31. I don't think the bachelor life would work forever. The older you get, the more difficult it will become to find partners. Either really live a true ethical non-monogamy or polyamory lifestyle where you have a nesting partner, or get married. Story 32. I'm poor and have an innate understanding of how women work. For me, I understand that being liked would be based on my success. I wouldn't be able to separate those thoughts from my achievements. I would only get married if there was absolutely no downside to it. meaning I'm too wealthy to risk losing in a divorce. Otherwise, I'll just do what I've seen my female friends fall for. Wealthy men making promises they may one day commit to. Story 33. No, but I've been in a long-term relationship for 2 decades with a primary partner. She is mostly gay, and date others. Why? Because I do not want to have the stupid clowns from the government involved. Story 34. It is possible and very common for people to live happily and have a strong, loving relationship, including children, without being married. We do not live in the 1950s, you know. Story 35. Honestly, I do not really see why I would. I do not even care about being a playboy. I just do not like most people and do not derive satisfaction from them. Even now, I can say I do not have any sort of nagging feeling to be in a relationship or married. I do not want kids. I do not even want a pet. I just value my autonomy and honestly peace of mind. I have not found the perks of a relationship to outrank that for me over the past few years.